Hour number 2 of the Scott Radley Show here on 900 CHML. Glad you're here with us. If you're just jumping in, you chose a good time to do it because we've got our usual Monday evening guest here with an extra guest with him and an announcement coming up. I'll give it to you. I'll let them tell you in just 1 second. Stay with us. It's a good one. You're going to want to stick around for this one. First, though, let me just give you your quiz question, then we'll get on with the important stuff for the day. But if you are eager to get calling in with your guess on the quiz question, here we go. What is unique about a word that is a palindrome? What's unique about a word that's a palindrome? 905-645-3221 or star 9900. Ben is in today. Ben is on the other side of the glass. He's the guy who will be answering the phone and taking your name and taking your guess. So give him a shout. Tell him what is unique about a word that is a palindrome. The numbers again, 905-645-3221 star 9900. So while you're working on that, let me bring in Don Robertson of the Dundas Real McCoys and ComChoice Realty, and we always say this, a variety of other things about town, mostly legal.
Most of them we don't want to talk about.
But also with him, he's here every Monday. Thanks for coming in, as always. And with him today is Jason Daleo, who is, if Don is with the Dundas Real McCoys, Jason is his equal, his cohort, whatever you want to call it, with the Hamilton Steelhawks of the Senior A, Senior Triple A. I'm not even sure what they call it. It's Allan Cup Hockey now, but I don't know if it's Senior A or Senior Triple A, but it's senior hockey in this province. And Don, you have been given the finger to do the different thing. You've been pointed at to give the announcement. So why don't you say why you're here and why Jason is here with you?
Well, I'm here because I'm supposed to be here every
That's
Monday
true.
night.
That's true.
But we're fortunate enough that the Allan Cup is coming to the Ontario Hockey Federation next year, and the Ontario Hockey Federation and the Ontario Hockey Association have granted the Dundas Real McCoys and the Hamilton Steelhawks the hosting of the 2020 Allan Cup. And the unique part about this is it's been a tournament format of 6 teams, and it's opening today. The first game started an hour ago in Lacombe, Alberta, and for the first time ever it will be co-hosted. And I'll tell you, it's a lot of work. It's quite a challenge, and I couldn't be happier to be with the Real McCoys and co-hosting with the Hamilton Steelhawks. They've done a fabulous job their first few years in the league, and it will afford us a tremendous opportunity to, from the Real McCoys, to work with Jason and George Roque, who co-own the Hamilton Steelhawks, and we're excited because there'll be great marketing opportunities, and it's a great player recruitment thing. We found that out in 2014 when I forgot who. I guess we won in double overtime in front of a sold-out arena. I forgot that part. But it's fun. It's a great rallying point in the community, and I know our community will embrace it, and I know the Hamilton Steelhawk fans will as well.
Do you know what you're getting into, Jason?
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to it. It's part of the reason we got in the league. I was fortunate to be around when Don and the Real McCoys were hosting the Allan Cup in 2014. So I got to see what it took at that time to run it, as Don sort of led that group at the time, and progressed to myself and my partner George Roque putting in a bid to own a hockey team in the Hamilton Steelhawks. And so, our end goal was at some point to host a national championship here in the city.
So how did this then come to be as a dual bid, as a combined bid? You go first, Jason. I mean, how did this come around?
A couple years ago, the Kenora Thistles up in Hockey North, they were to host the Allan Cup, and prior to the season starting, their hockey club folded. And that left an opening to host that year, and nobody really knew what was going to happen with the tournament. So Don and I started talking about the format that the World Juniors had, with the World Juniors being in Toronto and Montreal. And the reason they did that was based on ticket sales and making sure that all the games are in prime time and good things for TV, and really at the end of the day, the hockey fan. So as we started talking, we threw around the idea of co-hosting a tournament that would allow both teams to host games in prime time. same concept for the fans. And so when we put a last minute bid together to try and, bring that in, I think it was a bit too much to chew on maybe for the decision makers at Hockey Canada, and it was awarded out east. So for the past couple of years, we've still been kicking around the idea of what would it look like if both organizations were to come together and combine resources to put on a host tournament in 2020 for the fans in both Hamilton and Dundas.
And Don, part of it, Jason alludes to the tickets and the prime time. This is not an inexpensive thing to put on. So you do have to sell some tickets. You do have to put some people in the building, or else you're wearing it.
No, we're screwed.
To put it bluntly.
Well, yeah, no, we'll, no, people have to come. I mean, we'll go and get them at their house, but the problem was, and Jason, when Jason and I were sitting around one night talking about the Montreal and Toronto thing, and I'd had, I don't know, 5 or 6 cups of tea, and then I started to lose my mind. So we thought it was a great idea. What we forgot about is the Montreal and Toronto are quite a ways apart. So we may not sell out both buildings every night, but when the Kenora thing come up, and because we have a history of it, we hosted in 2003, we hosted in 2014, and Brantford hosted in 2008. And the Real McCoys, we've traveled to a number of Allan Cups. We were in Fort St. John, British Columbia. We've been Steinbach, Manitoba, and because we're from out of town and we're not a local favorite, you play the afternoon games. So we would show up in Fort St. John, British Columbia, and the building sold out. And our guys are going, holy cow, right? So you go to Steinbach. But when you're in Steinbach, Manitoba, and you're in Fort St. John, British Columbia, you start realizing when you drive through town, there's absolutely nothing else to do there. And when you're in southern Ontario and the
There's a few other options.
there's all kinds of options. Some of them are the Toronto Blue Jays, although their attendance is not high. But, there's all kinds of places to put your disposable income, if you will. I mean, there's probably 15 junior teams within a 45-minute drive. So we can't create the same attention and interest for afternoon games, but we believe we can do far better at night. So I spoke to Jeff from Bentley. He called me last Thursday night, and I asked him how their ticket sales were going. He said, I'm not sure if we can get to 1,000 packages. So they sell packages for $200 and $250, and he thinks they're going to sell 1,000 packages. I mean, that would be absolutely wonderful. But again, in Lacombe, Alberta, and I'm going tomorrow, I'm going to guess that there's not a lot to do except go to a hockey game. So what we did is we thought we would be better off playing both games in prime time and giving people a choice. That's the problem. There'll be some cannibalization with respect to attendance, but I've talked to Jason because JL Greitmeier's reopening. We're going to play on the Monday night, so Hamilton won't play on the Monday night. We'll play on the Tuesday, so we'll both have our own standalone crowds. It'll be unique, but let me tell you, our afternoon games in Dundas in 2014, we couldn't draw enough people to have a game of bridge. There's just no interest, and people won't take the time off work to come to all the games. So if we're going to draw 150, 100 to 200 people in the afternoon, we know we're going to do far better at night. And so we'll find out if we're right or we're wrong. We'll work hard on sponsorship. Jason's a master at that with his experience at the Hamilton Bulldogs, so we'll rely on him a little bit. And we have both built up a pretty sound sponsorship base, and we'll try and grow on that, and I think it'll be successful. But when Brent Ladd's talked to us, when Kenora, and even this year, he would still, Jason, I think you'd agree, prefer that there be one team to do it. And I said, well, Dundas won't. It's just too much work for our volunteer base to run 2 games a day, 5 days, and then you go to the Allan Cup. It's too much work. And then he asked Jason, and Jason's response is, well, if Dundas have done it before and they won't do it, why are you wishing this on me, right? So this is the format we've come up with, and we're excited. We think it's going to be successful.
So one of the things, Jason, that is always going to help when you're trying to bring people in is a local team. So in the past it was Dundas, but there were times, Don, when you in 2014 you also had Brantford there, I believe.
Yes.
So Jason, you now have the potential that you'll have Hamilton and Dundas and potentially Stony Creek or maybe Brantford or someone else. There's a chance half the teams here could actually bring people into the building. That'll be a big help.
Yeah, I think if the way it's set up is if Dundas or Hamilton doesn't win the league championship, whoever that league champion is will have an opportunity to get into the Allan Cup tournament. So you're right, if we can have 3 local teams, it would create that much more of a buzz. I mean, 2 I think is going to be fantastic on its own, but if you add a 3rd one, it's gravy.
The chances then of one of you at least getting in deep in the playoffs is pretty good. So you still have rooting interest later on. I mean, because if both of you lose in the first round, I'm not wishing this on you, but I mean, you're saying what happens then with the playoffs. This makes it very much more likely there's going to be somebody still in there.
To sell a local ticket.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
right.
I mean, even, look, we're not, I think Dundas got beat out by Stony Creek, but I'm sure based us all being in the OHA, we wish the Stony Creek Generals the best, and we hope they represent the OHA and bring home the Allan Cup to us this year. So I don't hope that happens next year, but I do hope that happens this year, speaking for Don. Yeah.
So how is
Speak
this?
for yourself.
How is this going to work then? How is this going to work? Because again, you've got 2 arenas going on. You talk about cannibalizing each other. Is there a chance then that you could both be playing at the exact same time, or are you going to try?
Well, we will be. At some point, we will be.
Or can you even work it with the schedule that when you talk about prime time, one's early prime time, one's late, and you have a shuttle bus or 10 that take people from rink to rink, or what do you do?
Well, we have to work on the ice time that we're allotted first, so we're in the process of doing that with City of Hamilton. And I'm sure they're going to give us all the options possible, but one of the things we're going to look at is, maybe a 5:30 and an 8 o'clock game on the same night. Depending on, schedules of ice time and availability. So there's still some logistics to work out, but we will get those things worked out and make sure that it's in the best interest of the hockey fan.
The buildings are only 15 minutes apart.
So you can get there.
So
Yeah.
you can absolutely get there. So, and it'll be, I mean, it'll work out fine for the people that want to come to the games. They're going to cherry pick a little bit, but I've said this to anybody that would listen. If we in 2014, if we don't make it to the semifinals and play that primetime night game Friday night, basically in front of a standing room only crowd, and then make it to the finals and fill the rink again, I'd have had to sell my house. Like we would have lost thousands of dollars.
I'm losing confidence here, Scott.
And well, sorry, one of us got to get to the finals. I'd like to have the same result in 2020 as 2014. I'm not sure that'll happen, but that's what I'm working for.
Well, and so what's happened in 2003? You hosted, and that was through that you were able to lure Rick Vive to join the team.
Yeah.
Most people remember him. In 2014, you had a few other guys. You had Jay McKee and you had Jason Ward that people remember from the Bulldogs. Is that, now that you have the Allan Cup, is that enough of a lure that you start to find recognizable players that people may know, and they start saying, yeah. Now, these are senior players, just so people understand if they don't know. These are guys who are generally done most of their big earning parts of their career, and now if they want to keep playing, they keep playing. But are those guys, is that who you're going after now? What do you do at this point to try and make sure people know who they're going to come and see?
Well, recognizable names. Theo Peckham is a recognizable name to the Hamilton Steelhawk fans. He played for the Edmonton Oilers. Mike Moles made himself a recognizable figure. And what I have found, and if Jason hasn't found it out yet, he's about to find it out, that every time you go out 4 or 5 years from the last time, it makes it more and more difficult to sign Todd Harvey or Scott Walker. Those guys were personal friends. Todd Harvey was our coach's nephew, and I played ball with his dad. But every time you go out 5 years, these guys are now making that much more money. And when they retired, even if they're from Hamilton, Dave Anderchuk is a good example, they're from Florida. Well, these guys aren't around. So to get the Rick
And they
Vive-
also made $50 million. They may
and
not.
I was going to say, and that's the problem. These guys are now multi-millionaires. So they really got to love the game to want to come back. McKee was great. Jason Ward was, he was very recognizable. He was a great draw. But, and Jason and I were talking. I said, if there was a guy that played 600 games in the National Hockey League in Phoenix, and he comes back here, he's not going to fill the rink. Rick Vive played for us. And you would think that a guy that was the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs scored 50 goals 3 years in a row. You'd put 2,000 people in jail at Great Mire Arena when he signed. You put 350 people in that night, and the average attendance was only up 100. That's Rick 5. So it doesn't work. You got to have a good hockey team, and I'm pretty confident that Dundas and Hamilton will both have excellent hockey teams next year. The thing that it will do for us, this year, if we could have got the guys we signed, we'd have given Stony Creek all they could handle. They beat us once in overtime. They beat us in the last game 5-4, and they're defending Allan Cup champions. This year, when guys want to come, I'm going to say, this is how many games you're playing, or I'm going to move on to the next guy. Because we're not bringing in 12 guys just to play in the Allan Cup. We're going to entertain our fans throughout the year. The other stumbling block that made it difficult to get guys there, I mean, we ended up last place this year. And I thought didn't have too bad a hockey team. But you got no hammer over them because we played a 24-game exhibition schedule because everybody made the playoffs. That shouldn't be the case next year.
Do you share that philosophy, Jason, or do you look at it and say, yeah, we want to win, but we also want to have people who, when they come, they go, oh, that guy, I know that guy because I've seen him play somewhere before. Where do you fall on this?
I mean, you know, I think somewhere in the middle there. I think that when you bring in Theo Peckham, and it adds some credibility and legitimate status to your team, to the league. You know, he played 6 years for the Edmonton Oilers. He had a pretty good, pro career. And then people start saying, well, Theo's playing, then you know what, I'll come and play it. But, you know, Don's right. I mean, we're not getting, Shane Doan, who just retired, to come and play for us. It's just not going to happen. But guys that have played 300, 400, 500
Although
games.
Ryan Smith, former
Yeah.
captain of the Oilers, he did play for the team out in Alberta until someone took a cheap shot at him.
With his brother.
Fair
Right?
enough.
So
Fair
there's
enough.
your relationship. Stony Plain is like, is to Edmonton what Dundas is to Hamilton. So, and his brother played.
And there was something else when you had, I don't know about Vive. I mean, I don't know what, I can't remember his background, but certainly with Jay McKee and with Jason Ward last time, you were partly able to get them because these were guys that had never won a championship before. So you had something to offer beyond money for them because they had lots of money.
There are people out there that think I'm brilliant at recruiting hockey players, and I'm going to let them carry on thinking that. But it's all who you know. We got Jason Ward because Jason Daleo introduced him to me.
That was a good move.
Right? We went for lunch.
It wasn't in the league.
Oh,
But
okay.
yes, it wasn't in the league. Yeah,
We didn't pay him because we don't pay our players. You have to want to play, and Jason had never won anything, and he wanted to win something, and he thought Hamilton was a great place to do it. Right? So for him, that was the key. The thing that gives credibility, legitimacy, and everything else to the program is what happens is if you bring a Theo Peckham in, you bring a Rick Vive in, what they do is they come and then they see all the other good players that maybe have played in the American League or the East Coast League, because for the most part, almost all the players in Dundas and Hamilton will probably have played some type of pro hockey, or they won't be good enough to play in the team. There'll be some exceptions, but not a slew of them. There'll be some CIA guys and OUAA guys and CIS guys rather. CIA
Not
guys.
spies?
No, the CIA guys are following Trump around. They're too busy. But though that will legitimize it, and then they'll fall in love with the product, and that's the key. We don't care why they come. We just want them to fall in love with what we're doing.
Who gets, have you guys figured out yet, or is it an arm wrestle, or is it something else for who gets the championship game?
Well, I think we're going to play that by ear, but Don said Hamilton, and I wasn't going to disagree with him. But I said, you know what, Don, maybe what we should do is let's just see who gets to the finals, and maybe we can decide, whose building we're going to play in.
Could you do that? Could you play it that loose as far as where the game is going to be if one of you made it? Honestly, because it would seem to make sense.
Well, I would like to do that. I'd like to be able to talk to the city of Hamilton to have both rinks available flexibility-wise.
We've got the ice.
Yeah, so, and when you buy your ticket packages, they're flex tickets. You could use them at either facility. So, I think that's not going to be an issue logistically on getting people through the doors. And, ideally in a perfect world, it's Hamilton hosting Dundas at the Dave Anderchuk Arena.
Is that a perfect world?
What I didn't tell Jason is he shouldn't drink before he comes in to do this. He said he came from work, but now I'm questioning it. I think he's got vodka in his water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So the Allan Cup 2020, so next year, Hamilton and Dundas, what are the dates of the tournament?
April the 6th through the 11th.
So this time next year, exactly right.
Yep.
This
If I'm
time
gonna,
next
if
year.
we're arm wrestling though, I wanna arm wrestle Jason's wife, not George Roke. George will dislocate my shoulder and throw me on the ground.
Well, you know what, I'm not sure that he would do that. He's a nice guy.
It is April 6 to 11, 2020. When will people, is there a website up? Will there be a website up? Is there going to be some way people can start to look for this? Where can they find information? All that kind of stuff.
It's gonna be on Twitter, it's gonna be on Facebook, it's on now, as at 7:10 when we started doing this. And we'll have a website, yeah, we'll have a website, ticket packages.
AllanCup2020.com, and if you go to that website right now, you can click a link that will send an email to put you on the waiting list for the ticket packages that will be available for sale on May 1st.
Excellent. Jason Daleo, Don Robertson, thanks for doing this today. Now you're still going to stick around. Oh, we're just going to be talking about a few other things, but
Yeah, for
thanks
sure.
for doing this. Keep that in mind if you're
Thank you, Scott.
if you're a local hockey fan. Make a note of that somewhere in your calendar. April 6 to 11, 2020. It sounds like you will have choices. Whoever's team you like better, you can go watch them. Ruin a friendship between these two guys by picking one or the other.
Until after the tournament, it'll be fine.
Take a break. Back after this. Stay with us.
Kids need to be kids.
Excellent.
It is the world's oldest national hockey championship, awarded annually to the best senior AAA men's team in Canada. They play for nothing more than love of the game. And next year, it's coming to Ontario's escarpment country, to Hamilton and Dundas, where a rich hockey history awaits the opportunity at national glory. The Allan Cup returns to Hamilton and Dundas in April of 2020.